Welcome to another exciting episode of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Today we're going to talk about something. That's always a plus.
Yeah.
It's being safe and the common injuries that can occur in reselling. And I was thinking of this the other day because a good friend of the channel, Auction Professor, has some serious eye issues going on. He doesn't talk about them very much, but he does mention them from time to time. And he'll say that they came because he was in I believe it was a barn or a basement. He was somewhere or other, and he was moving boxes up above, and dirt came down into his eyes and got kind of lodged in there and all that kind of thing. And that definitely is something or other to look out for. And how many times have you moved something or other and you just have this bunch of dust come up and you're breathing the stuff in? And especially if you're on a haul type deal and you're out in somebody's barn or something or other like that, God only knows the stuff you're touching. God only knows what there might be there. I know you and I both any number of times have come across mold.
True.
Books, magazines, all that stuff, which we just basically throw out.
Bugs, hairs, you name it.
Bugs, I know you've come
across a mouse in the box. A couple of times. We have live mice in the boxes,
Oh, you had live mice?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, so you got to be careful on that because you don't know what those might possibly be carrying.
Yeah, we threw the whole box out. It didn't even matter what was in it. We heard it moving around. We tossed it right out.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's a good idea. Unless you get a cat. And then you got to get a dog to chase the cat. And then I think I read about that at some point. But what other injuries can you possibly think of having out there? And I use a dolly.
Yeah, well, my shoulder, I hurt my shoulder just reaching a lot for boxes a lot of times when I didn't go all the way up on the ladder just to save a few seconds or to, hurry it up. And, threw my shoulder out. You definitely don't want to trip. We make sure no one wears Crocs or sandals or anything at the warehouse.
Well, that's good thinking.
That's a no-no. We had one guy come in with him. He was like, you have to list today. You can't go up on ladders. Can't take a chance, So. Well,
and here's something or other that I've done before in my house because I'm in my house, and I'm a one-man band, so OSHA doesn't apply. You've got a different set of rules to you potentially because you've got employees and you have to follow OSHA and all that.
Sure.
I don't have to do that, but I'm in my house and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm running around down in the basement and I don't wear shoes in my house, generally speaking. I don't know a lot of people who wear shoes in their house. And I will tell you this. When you turn around and your foot meets a pallet and you have socked feet, it hurts like the dickens.
Yeah.
And you need to be careful of that. And even with pallets, things like that, you got to watch out for splinters.
Yeah, true.
Paper cuts. What about packing? Have you had any people have packing problems?
I don't recall any, but definitely back problems, like turning the wrong way or, bending over or something like that, throw your back
And
out.
you actually have changed things around in there to make them more ergonomical, as I recall, throughout time. Or maybe the packers have, so they have less, they're not just doing this all day long. Right. They change the way they do it because you got to watch that. And even on our end, I'm certain, take one of your listers. You have dedicated listers, correct?
Yep.
How many hours a day do they look at the computer screen?
You're talking some are 9 to 4, 8 to 3.
Now, granted, they look away from time to time, but they're still in front of the computer that long.
Well, we always tell them every 2 hours get up, do a 5-minute break, walk around, get the blood flowing. So,
Let alone what do they call those? The blue light shields on the computers to hold back the blue light and all that stuff, because otherwise you can end up with eye strain. Using a mouse keyboard, they got ergonomic keyboards. You've got the ergonomic mouse because you can pick up carpal tunnel if you're sitting there listening for way too long.
Anytime you need anything, just don't hesitate to ask whatever. If you need new lighting, mouse, keyboard, anything. Even I always say the back straps, those belts. So we do what we can to keep it safe.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to
prevent injury.
Yeah, and you also have ladders, which is a whole other world of potential danger.
Right. Yeah.
But go ahead.
They're the safe, they're the big ones you see like Lowe's, Home Depot,
Yeah, but there still is danger available with those.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of surprised because I know I've taken chunks out of my fingers, and the reason I was thinking of this, doing this video was I was cutting today some cardboard, and I know you're not supposed to cut towards you, but it's almost impossible to cut away from you.
Yeah, it's awkward. Almost as weird as eating soup the right way.
That is true. That is true. So when I was cutting toward me, I made sure that I wasn't standing behind where I was cutting. I was off to the side, so if something slipped, it would go into air instead of into me.
Yeah.
But how many times is one of your packers, I'm sure they have because I've done it any number of times, just, one of the envelopes, or a lot of times, believe it or not, the sides of the cardboard can be sharp.
Paper cuts for sure, definitely.
And definitely give yourself a cardboard cut right over there. There are just so many hidden dangers there. And we're not even talking about carrying 50-pound boxes all day.
Even when they're breaking down cardboard, I prefer them stomping on it first. If you can get it flat enough, don't even use a razor. Sometimes you got to cut them, but I always say, like, hey, stomp them down first. If it's compact enough, just put it in the way it is instead of trying to cut it down, because I'm not there to watch them, and they could be cutting towards themselves instead of away.
Right, which, again, as you said, it is awkward to cut away. That's not a natural action. Pulling towards you is a natural action, but it lets go, or you lift up just a touch, and next thing you know, it's in your leg. I mean, these things happen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've always got the problem where, I go to the flea markets. A lot of times, those are held in the summertime. A lot of times, it's 95 degrees and humid out there, and you're out all day walking around the flea market. You may not be properly hydrated. And then all of a sudden, you buy a couple of big boxes of magazines, and you're carrying them three-quarters. I mean, how many times did we go to auctions where we were carrying box after box, three-quarters of a mile to a mile down to our car? Let alone having to make sure we don't get run over by cars. There's just so many dangers in reselling. There really, truly are, but I don't think anybody really talks about them very much.
No, for sure.
But there's so many different things from back strain, muscle pulls, all that sort of thing. Just bumps and bruises all day long.
Even risks, if you don't lift the box properly, or your back, if you're bending over and not using your legs more than your midsection. So.
Well, let me ask another question of you. How good are your employees about not overfilling a box?
Some are very good at it, and some are horrible at it.
The reason I'm asking is because I've had it before. We've seen the tour of my basement, and I've got 4 shelves high. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I've had it there where something was on the 4th shelf, and I grabbed the box to pull it forward, and a book falls on it right in the middle of the forehead. And I will tell you, a book in the middle of the forehead does not feel good.
Especially if it's a phone book.
No, or a dictionary.
But we try and tell them 90%, 75, 80, 90%, like especially records, we don't want them chock full, but definitely books, like you said, you don't want books hitting you in the head.
No, you definitely. Although that might be the only way the knowledge comes through to me.
Yeah, or a bunch of magazines fly off and they give you a bunch of paper cuts
across
your forehead,
or into your eye. I mean, that honestly could truly happen over there. And one final thing, I know you had problems back in the day, and this was with some employees who just absolutely needed to wear earbuds and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And that can be potentially very dangerous in the warehouse as well. And I believe you put rules in against it. I don't know whether they listen to that.
If they're in the warehouse floor area where they're pulling items and stuff, we eliminated it entirely. At one point we said you can have one in and one out, but if something's falling or there's an emergency, they're not going to be able to hear you. If they're up on a ladder with their earbuds on, forget about it. So we just eliminate that entirely. Yeah. If you're at your desk, it's one thing, but once you're there up in a ladder, forget it.
Yeah, you have to be aware of your surroundings at that point, and it's a little more important than hearing the hot new Cardi B song, as good as it might be. So, do hit the like button. Again, I just thought this was kind of important to just give you a refresher course. All of the various dangers that are out there in reselling. There are a lot of very, very dangerous jobs out there, and in no way am I saying that reselling is as dangerous as underwater welding or structural steel work, jackhammering, or anything at all like that. I do understand that those are dangerous, but reselling has its own dangers in it. And, I've gotten plenty of bumps and bruises and cuts throughout the years by not necessarily being safe. Yeah. I mean, you're dealing potentially, especially, let me give one last example.
I know what you're going to say.
Go ahead.
No big cup of water by the keyboard.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You get electrocuted. Now, how many times have you been on a deal and you've got a bunch of stuff that's loose packed and you got boxes and you start looking at it going, geez, if I overload these boxes, I can cut 2 trips out. And you start packing the boxes way too big, way too heavy. Yep. You're straining yourself too much because you're trying to save 5 minutes on the back end. Right. and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Pack them a little safer, and And have you ever had a box break on you?
Oh yeah,
That
those
ruins.
handles are weak, or the grunt guys try to be heroes and lift 2 at a time. I go, don't try and be a hero, because you're gonna end up hurting your back, or the box is gonna fall and break. I go, 1 at a time, easy,
Yeah.
nice and steady. That's
Yep. Because one box breaks, and you lost all the time you made up, and you
it could
potentially
fall on
hurt
your,
yourself.
it could break onto your foot.
You could break your
toe.
foot. Yeah, definitely could. Yeah, you're dropping a fair amount of weight down on yourself,
Yeah.
or it could fall. And I don't know if you've ever. Another quick question for you: have you ever slipped on magazine or paper that's on the ground?
It is slippery. It
It's
really
very
is.
slippery.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention. You walk through there. You hit that magazine wrong. That's
Right.
somebody dropped, and you take a tumble.
Yeah.
What is your floor made out of at the warehouse?
Cement.
Yeah,
Concrete.
that's not going to feel very
No.
good. So definitely do be very, very careful out there. This is kind of just a refresher course. I don't think enough people talk about it. I don't think enough people remember it. Again, we're not the most dangerous job by any means whatsoever, but you can get hurt at any job whatsoever. Just be alert and do things slower and smarter, as opposed to, as he said, try to be a hero. Don't try to be a hero. Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life, and do hit the like button.
Thank you. Bye bye.